Freedom of Thought Foundation, which basically was a 501c3 that stood for the right and freedom to have cognitive liberty, or the right to your own thoughts, the right to your own identity, the right to all things, the right to your own brain, the right to your sovereign self for being here, for having an existence that's not controlled by somebody else. We were the first to do that. And back then, nobody knew anything about this at all. They barely knew what was going on at all. Palantir, everybody knows that name. They are aiding and abetting the end of our species. This is the point where you can no longer be a spectator, period. Because everything that's in the news today is not relevant at all. It's all misdirection. And I say it's not relevant at all, not because it's not important, because it is important. But the behind the scenes, the powers that be want everybody distracted with the Epstein and the war and Gaza and Africa and all this stuff. Now, there's already been laws that have been passed in the governor of California just passed the laws protecting somebody's individual brain and their personality, because now what's happening is the very symptoms of all this are happening because people are cloning their personalities, cloning their voices, and putting them into the internet. There's no law in anything in the world prepared to deal with this and what's going to happen. Some people are more apt because their bodies are being used as energy chargers for the cloud if they've had the kill shot. Other people that are not, that don't have nanotechnology in their blood or on their skin, or they've ingested, they still can be transmitted. Synthetic technology, or telepathy rather, their moods can be altered. They can induce modules of schizophrenia. This is the end goal. So when the World Economic Forum came out and they're bragging about what they're going to do with everybody, whatever they're saying they're doing, they're probably 5 years ahead of it already. And they just tell off the tail parts of it. When they said they were going to get rid of a large portion of the global population, they didn't exactly say all the details in which they're doing. People presume that means we're dead. They're going to kill people. And yes, they are doing it, but they're using all sorts of soft kill weaponry to do it, to make it so they don't look like they're doing it. And they get everybody involved to be aiding and abetting in that. But this is invisible. And a lot of these systems and weapons are being tested on the public unbeknownst to them, because it's coming through the electricity, because you're an electric being. Your heart rate and everything it's an electric composite. You are affected by electricity or the weather and so forth. When you're surrounded this in your house, on your phone, under 5G conditions, it's basically micro escalation to prepare you for 6G. When they put out the cell phones, were basically training wheels for the public to prepare them for telepathy. Initially, this started off with a pager. You may remember a long time ago when people had pagers, and they'd always be looking in an anticipatory state, waiting for their pager to go off, and they'd always have it in their hand. And then after that came the mobile phone. And then the mobile phone turned into the small iPhone or Android that we see. And then the effect and the alteration of our central nervous system is related to that technology, because it sped it all up and created the effect of instantaneousness. The effect of instantaneousness altered your cognition and altered how you interact with everybody in your universe. So they made stepping stones to get us to this part where we're at now, where the fusion of the brain, computer, AI, and quantum will be put into one. That these discussions are going on behind the scenes without any dialogue with your so-called elected employees anywhere. Some of them are happening in Congress. They're talking about directed energy weapons being used on the public. Department of Homeland Security brought it up because I saw the video footage of it. So this stuff goes on in court cases that you never hear about at all. We covered it in Operation Mind Control book about getting somebody to discredit themselves that was interfacing with this type of technology. And we were interviewing people quietly that were private contractors supplying technology to create synthetic telepathy and induced versions of schizophrenia. Well, we have a breakaway civilization that's decided they don't need us anymore. And part of that breakaway civilization occurred in 1947 when they passed the National Security Act, because that basically chopped everything in half, stopped all the free flow of information. We don't even live in a reality that's cognitively close to where we're at technologically or anything else because of this bifurcation that took place. Because when they filed in the National Security Act of 1947, they did that like in a week, and there was like hardly any dialogue about it. It was all done secretly around the same time as Roswell, around the same time as CIA came into the United States. And then this breakaway civilization, post Operation Paperclip came in, and they perfected all these sciences. And they had the national security clause to hide behind their entire careers. So we don't have free flowing information in this country. When people hear about the World Economic Forum, that's the public arm of the people that have been asked to be in those positions, of people that have decided they want to reduce global population and they want to completely alter what it means to be human. So you have people, spokespeople like Noah Harari, coming out and making statements about hackable animals, which are humans. And you're seeing the ongoing preparation for the separation or division of your divine incarnation, your right to be associated with godhood. That's being removed. So they're going to create a synthetic, different silicon-based type of human that is fused with technology. Either they'll be chipped or they can use other tools to use behavior modification and what that's going to do. And basically, it's going to dissolve the boundaries between your inner world and your outer world. It's just one tool in the toolbox that is being used to reduce population reduction, but it's the most lethal and the most dangerous for humanity. This is the breaking point underway. So when you see interviews with the head of Palantir talking about the biggest, most gigantic surveillance system being put in place, he's not talking about the ecological effects of what that's going to do. This is why a lot of people are saying, this guy's the Antichrist, and they mean it, because he's aiding and abetting the end of your free will, the end of your own cognitive liberty to make decisions based upon your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own history, everything. That's what they're doing. If you think that your information is going to be private and you trust these people that are doing this to keep it private, you're delusional. But since a lot of the power in this country was given by design to China, we have a problem now where we're not part of the standardization of this and what it is going to be. And the Chinese are they're running us in this area because the United States is occupied in a certain fashion right now. And we're not getting the support to get it on the international playing field and say, stop China making these standardizations and protocols of what this is going to be worldwide. They don't get to dictate. They're not our bosses. Not for you, not for me, not for anybody. The most important thing a person can do is that if they become a victim of some type of directed energy weapon, or they're having health issues, or their personality changes, or they find out that they're being influenced by these type of technologies and they have proof of it, and they want to make a claim against the people that are doing it, they have to be first in line to make a declaration for that. So this is what I've done for myself already. I've already filed declarations in the county recorder's office and with the UCC declaring all my cognitive rights. And if there's violations in any form, whether it's the airport, restaurant, house, public event, anywhere, and I find out about it, that I will file claims and for certain amounts of money. And I've made these declarations already. So if you're fused with with a technology, you can't be in court because you're no longer human anyway. And you don't have any rights. You're owned. You're a product for somebody else. We're giving away our humanity in process right now. Your rights, your ability to contract with somebody, your ability regarding money, agreements, business, all has to do with legal frameworks in a court of law. And in order to prepare yourself, you have to make a declaration that these rights are not to be violated. Because what's going to happen is, like, when people are carrying their cell phones and all their apps, they all upgrade. You agree to the terms. Nobody reads the terms. Nobody reads terms. And they're counting on this by voluntary compliance to walk into this so that they're not responsible for the damage that's going to be done to you and is ongoing right now with people all over the world with this advances. Because when 6G comes in and it's common, we're done. Frontier,
Using
Google,
NGOs.
DARPA, the Department of Defense, military in Europe, Soviets, everybody's involved in this because it's the high ground of warfare. When people see war on TV, they think it's bombs and guns and guys going into buildings and tanks, and that's old. That's all totally obsolete. If you want to take over a country, it's much more sophisticated and easier ways of doing it. Take it over, and then you run their minds. A child born today, and we've seen pictures of this, they have a cell phone shoved in their mouth, probably at 5 years old. That
Yeah.
changes the entire relationship with the brain, the central nervous system, how they operate in their cognitive behavior, decision making, all of that. You and I lived when there wasn't that. So we've seen the change happen. We're witness to it. They're not. So their central nervous system operates completely differently. Because you'll notice with a lot of young people, they have like zero attention, zero,
Right.
because they deal with the effect of instantaneousness 24 hours a day. They sleep with their phone, they walk with their phone, they cook with their phone, they do everything with their phone. And if you take it away from them, they go into withdrawal and they have like
Yeah.
fits. This is the spiritual fight of all fights, is the takeover of the brain. It's always been the high ground, but this is the final aspect because user will be interface and neural net sequencing in the brain will be controlled, and their intentions and decisions will be affected. It's kind of like Minority Report upgraded. So this is why I'm telling people to start declaring by your own free will declarations in the county recorder office. But the point is you put them on the public record. So when you do get into court, their ass is on the line because you've informed them before you even show up. Pay attention to what Palantir is doing, and then pay attention to the lawsuit that's going to be filed on that company and maybe him personally.
Peter Thiel.
Yes, he's an aiding and abetting in this, and so is Elon Musk. What they're doing is they're telling the public they're going to be utilizing this technology for medical issues. But since when, ever in human history, has technology just been handled for good purposes and not used for evil? The heart of the matter is a matter of the heart, and they don't have any, because if they did, they wouldn't be doing these things or participating in ending our current evolution. Because there's people coming out in the public that are saying what your evolution is going to be, like Noah Harari. Nobody rebuts him and gets in his face. They all pay for these huge stages, so they go on and everybody bows to them, but nobody rebuts. And in a court of law, if you have a conflict, you have to rebut. Silence is acquiescence. Acquiescence is agreement. There's no ignorance under the law. These are very important maxims that people need to understand. There's going to be no second chances. They don't care. You're not free. And you have to make declarations that you are free. And you have to understand who you are in a court of law, too, because that's where everything is going to end up. Because you can't stop these companies from moving forward if you don't sue them and you put all the discovery and interrogatories into the public format for discussion. Because like I said, and I always use this as an example, I said before, nobody called you up and said, hey, we're putting out this cell phone and it's going to completely, totally alter social space. You're not going to be able to sleep as well. It's going to affect your digestion. You're going to be stuck on it 10 hours a day, and you're going to be hijacked by the internet. And if you're not on an app or on Instagram, you're going to be vaporized and nobody even knows who you are. Did they call you and tell you all this stuff, these effects of what was going to happen? No. This is the great moment in your spiritual evolution, my spiritual evolution, everybody else that sees us, black, white, red, yellow, brown, everybody, that they need to assert themselves into the courts now, because our Supreme Court justices in the U.S., I don't know anywhere else, but in the U.S., they don't know about this stuff, what it's going to do. This is going to be the biggest moment in human history having to do with this stuff. This is the one you can't ignore, and you've got to make a stand now. Because I have talked to some of Trump's inner circle people, and they don't even know how to articulate it enough to tell him you need to do something about this, or this needs to be in the narrative dialogue constantly. You can do all of this stuff and then come to your own conclusions. But if I said this 10 years ago, that everybody would have thought it was completely crazy. Today, the right people will understand and they will do something about it. I know for a fact that people are going to start violating all the security agreements now that they have, because they know it doesn't matter what money they have or their pensions and everything. It's not going to matter anyway. Because if this isn't dealt with in a very public fashion with people from all walks of life, black, white, red, yellow, brown, lawyers, entertainers, actors, painters, cooks, regular people with regular jobs, all should have a vested stake in the dialogue of all of this. Nobody's ever faced off with these people. This is your moment. Nobody's going to come help you. You have to completely take your power back now. You have to declare your rights. You have to make the people that are responsible for public policy get involved and hold them liable, contract with them, get them on camera, engage the conversation, ask them questions. James Martinez Media on Patreon, and I'm on X, Electric 11 Media.